Now, does this happen to you like it does me? You hear, read or see an event or a film showing at the cinemas or an exhibition and you keep saying, I want to see that. Yep, I'm going to go see that. And before you know it, it's all over. You've missed it. Well, if you've been meaning to pop into the Rocky Art Gallery to check out the Baton Award exhibition, consider this that very final reminder because it closes tomorrow. Now, Erin Dunne was this year's Baton Award winner, and if you haven't already heard of Erin, she's a Central Queensland artist who was raised on a cattle station in the small town of Doringa, and she's had a very successful year so far. So much so that if you do head down this weekend to the Rocky Art Gallery to check out the work of this year's Baton Award finalists, you will also find Erin's art in another exhibition currently showing there. It's called Counterparts, and it's the end product of an intensive internship program involving 6 CQ female artists. Now, these artists were given the task to explore and conduct research around the female collection holdings within the Rocky Art Gallery, and they were asked to contribute on a local level to the conversation around institutional gender representation in the Australian visual arts sector. Now, each intern was to respond to their findings via their own artworks, and in turn, this culminated in this all-female exhibition. Now, I sat down with Erin, one of these 6 artists, to get an insight into her findings and processes.
I would describe myself as someone who uses an autobiographical lens when I approach an artwork. So even though I draw a wide range of things, people, places, objects, all those sorts of things, the common theme between those is that they've got some kind of special connection to me and my life. Yeah.
You got accepted on this program. Had you done anything like this before, been in this kind of internship kind of thing?
This is a pretty new experience for me. Parts of it were familiar, like the idea of researching. That's pretty familiar, but because I did a fine art degree in Brisbane. But the idea of researching works in a particular collection, so using the Rockhampton Art Gallery collection, that was new to me. I'd never done anything like that before, and I found that really interesting, and I actually think it's something that I'll consider doing again in future because I got a lot out of that. And the
What
idea,
was it that you got the most out of?
when I looked at the work in the collection, I think there have been many things to come out of it, but the best thing for me that has come out of it personally is having been able to learn so much more about the amazing artists in the Rockhampton Art Gallery's collection who happen to be female. I knew their names and I was sort of familiar at a superficial level with what their work looks like, but I had no idea what kind of backgrounds and circumstances they'd come from and what kind of challenges they'd overcome, particularly given the historical periods that they were like full-time practicing artists in, which is hard enough in any time and place, let alone one when it's not particularly easy to do that when you're a woman. So that was amazing to be able to now walk away from this research with this assemblage of aspirational exemplars of these really strong artists who happen to be female, that I can draw on, either whether it's drawing on their work itself, how it appears stylistically and visually, or whether it's drawing on the structure of their life and the choices that they made and that sort of trajectory. So that's been the best thing to come out of it, I think.
In your past works, do you focus much on like the female form and that kind of thing? Like, because kind of went in kind of going, okay, it's a female focus. Is it your realm?
That's an interesting question too, because I saw the call out on the Rocky Art Gallery website and went, this looks fascinating and I'll definitely apply and I really hope I get in. And then once I got accepted and I sat down at the beginning of the week to start researching, and I began by reading the Countess report. Yeah. And I realised all of a sudden that I kept seeing these words, female artist, woman artist, and I kept thinking, but I don't think of myself as that. I never have. And it was a kind of a sort of a weird, surreal experience to be reading the statistics about women artists and being one myself, but not feeling like I was one, if that makes sense. Like, I guess in terms of my self-concept, the voice in my head that's the me and the I isn't a gendered voice. And I'd say that's probably the same for everybody. Nobody thinks of themselves as me, the woman. You're just me, yourself. And so that was kind of weird to go, well, in reality, I'm part of these statistics. There was like a strange sort of disembodiment there. And eventually I came around to being more comfortable with that idea. But I think with the choice that I made for the artist that I responded to, I think that demonstrates that I have less of an interest in driving some kind of political agenda in my work and more of an interest in responding to what I authentically am drawn to. And so if I've made work about feminine or female concerns previously, it's only been because of that autobiographical lens. So, for example, in my works about my nana and my nana's back garden and my nana's house, that comes from a place of, you know, love and familial connection,
place and
matrilineal connection, and the place and the unity of all of those things. It doesn't come from a standpoint of, I'm going to make work about matrilineal connection because I feel like we need more work that deals with female experience. That's like a secondary thing after the fact. So, yeah.
The artists that you end up responding to, did it hit you straight away, or was it something, did you kind of looking at something else and then you sieved through a bit and then there was just something, like, tell us how you...
Yeah, sure. So that was a really difficult part, selecting the artist, because when I saw the list initially, the short list that we were allowed to choose from, I already knew fairly comfortably most of the artists and their practices. Some of them I knew more intimately than others, and some of them were already people I'd consider to be role models of mine or particular interests. And so that was really hard to then go and try and look at their practices dispassionately and through the lens of the Countess report. And so I really relied on the staff at the gallery to come in as a kind of objective sounding board and help me to sift through the shortlist and then pick artists that I'd be able to respond to, because there's a real temptation when you already know and love somebody's work to pick that to respond to, because
I can imagine.
Yeah, because you're already passionate about it and you already understand it and it resonates with you. But it may be the case with the work, but the artist's overall practice doesn't have the themes and kind of ideas in it that you need to respond to. So that's difficult. We really were not supposed to be responding to an individual work, but to the overall body of work and the practice and the lifetime of the artist. So that was hard initially because I already knew what I wanted to make work about. So I was really kind of challenged by that. And I think that was a good thing, because by being asked to go back and learn more about these other artists that I didn't know as much about, I came to view them in a new light, I think, and I look forward to learning more about them in future.
That was Erin Dunne speaking about her work on the research project and current exhibition Counterparts at the Rockhampton Art Gallery. Bit of a taste there. You can also check out her winning artwork in the Baton Award exhibition, which closes tomorrow. There's some excellent local artworks in this year's exhibition.